What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the show. As always, I'm your host, Shannon Mixon, and today's episode is called The Deterioration of the Black Consciousness. Now, that title is in reference to the ways in which music, movies, reality TV, and all forms of media can depict black people in a certain way, which is negative, to reinforce stereotypes and truly rot the minds of black people in America. Now, this is something that's been on my mind for a very long time, and it's something that honestly, it angers me to see what black people once were on this earth to what we are now. To know that there was a man named Mansa Musa who once lived and was the ruler of the Mali Empire back in the 1300s, and to see now the only images of us are negative in TV, again, in all other forms of media. But this is something that we just can't solely blame on the white man. To quote Michael Eric Dyson, he said, "We know about the quote-unquote white man and what he's done to us, but what about the black man doing it to us?" So, we have shows like Love and Hip Hop and Basketball Wives, and some of those were started by black people, and we see the direction those shows go into. Black Ink as well is another one like that, and it just depicts us in such a negative way. We're always fighting in the club with somebody or in a restaurant throwing bottles, and it's always drama. And I know that's what people like, that's what sells. I understand that, but it doesn't stop me from feeling enraged by it, and I feel like a lot more people should be too. We praise these shows so much, and we romanticize this and reinforce these stereotypes, and then a white person clicks on this channel and watches that show, or clicks on that link in this YouTube video and sees one of these shows, Love and Hip Hop or whatever, and that's what they think we are. That's why you'll meet certain people that think stereotypes are true, that's all we do, that's all we're good for, that's all we're worth. And so it reminds me of this J. Cole line. If you know me, you know J. Cole is absolutely my favorite rapper. And through the past few weeks, I've just been heavily listening to 2014 Forest Hills Drive. So I think it's on the first song of the album, January 28th, where he says, "What's the price for a black man life? I check the toe tag, not one zero in sight. I turn the TV on, not one hero in sight, unless he dribble or he fiddle with mics." And to be completely honest, the last time that I was listening to that, I was in the car just driving, songs playing, and it almost brought tears to my eyes after having listened to the song so many times, and it was on a heavy rotation in a short amount of time period. It literally almost brought tears to my eyes to think about how true that verse is. I always knew it was true. That album came out 4 years ago. It was relevant then, but now that I guess you could say I'm woke and see things from a different perspective and how serious it is that we're being depicted a certain way in media, it really hit me even harder than it ever did this most recent time listening to that song. And then rappers, you got Future, Tekashi, Lil Uzi, these guys reinforcing these negative stereotypes about us. Future's probably one of the biggest rap stars within the last 5 years, and his whole gimmick, his whole career, his niche market is drugs. You got his albums called Dirty Sprite. All he talks about is lean and Molly. And to be honest with you, a lot of people say that, I've listened to different interviews, different people who have been around him that say he doesn't even do drugs. But he just knows that this is what's going to sell. It's the hot thing to talk about. Young kids are going to be into this. It's, again, it's just all money. But it's such a shame that that's what we're willing to do just to make a check. And I'm not against, any black person getting that bag, you feel me? But if we're doing it at the expense of all of us, then it's not okay. I might, people who know me, I might give somebody like Cardi B a lot of heat. And again, I'm not against nobody getting no bag, but the fact that she is so praised, you know what I mean? After coming from a show that she came to, or coming from a show that she came from, like I said, that show was so degrading to us. And she's the hottest thing that we've seen in the last 10 years or whatever. But what about somebody like I just mentioned, Michael Laird Dyson or James Baldwin or Malcolm Gladwell, Dr. Umar? You know what I mean? Why aren't these people, the intellectuals of the world, more praised and more heavily loved by the black community? Because they're the ones truly doing the work to better us as a whole. Now, don't get this twisted like this is Cardi B bashing. She make good music, she make good songs, her verses be hot, it's whatever. But the fact that we don't appreciate these other people, as much as we do a Beyonce, a Cardi B, a Nicki Minaj, a Drake, like they're put on such a pedestal and are praised so much, but the people whose life's work is to better black people aren't that valued and appreciated. I call these people melanated and uncelebrated heroes. You know what I mean? They do what they do to help everybody that is of color, and I don't see the same amount of adulation for these people. Now I want to go back and touch on the TV aspect of this a little bit more. If you think about the shows we used to have, the Cosby Show, regardless what you think of Bill Cosby, A Different World, Living Single. On BET we had 106 in Park, where AG and Free would go on. They go on the college tours, and I'm pretty sure they were all HBCUs that they were going to, things like that. I remember vividly in 2004 how hard they were campaigning for young kids to come out and vote. Like Diddy had the Vote or Die t-shirts, things like that. Everything just seemed so positive as far as what we saw for black people on TV. And again, now we have Love and Hip Hop, basketball wise, and even a show like Empire, where I feel it's almost like now a caricature of black people. It's like satire almost, the over-the-topness of Taraji P. Henson's character and Terrence Howard's character. It's almost like poking fun at black people. So that just shows you the giant contrast in between what used to be on TV as far as black people being represented and what's on TV now. As far as the internet, we can even look at something like a World Star Hip Hop, where everything that they upload onto the site is nothing but negativity. It's people doing drugs, the fight cops, twerk videos, black people just acting a fool in public, doing anything they can for a like. I mean, think about Instagram and Twitter and Snapchat now. Everybody is going around doing anything they can just for a like, just for a retweet, just to get famous, just to get a couple 100,000 followers on Instagram. And it's like they're selling their souls just to have a little bit of fame. And as far as I can see, it's mostly black people doing this stuff. So the fact that there's a site like World Star Hip Hop where it does nothing but perpetuate the foolishness that black people partake in, that does a lot of damage to us as well. I don't see too much positivity. Every now and then you might see something that's slightly positive on World Star Hip Hop, but for the most part, in my mind, it's all negative. And I actually even stopped getting on World Star Hip Hop. I actually used to have the app on my phone, and I don't anymore, just because I don't want any of that negativity feeding me. I don't want to put any of that into me because it's of no value to me. You know what I mean? It's just like your diet. You know what I mean? You don't eat certain foods because you don't want that inside of you. You know what it'll do to you. You know the adverse effects it'll have on you. So you keep it out of you. And speaking of diet, that's kind of the entire point of this episode. I was listening to an interview with Saul Williams. For those who don't know, Saul Williams is a musician, slam poetry writer, just all-around artist. And he was saying that your diet isn't just what you eat and drink. It's what you listen to, it's what you read, it's what you watch. And that's what I'm talking about when it comes to these TV shows, these movies, and World Star Hip Hop videos. I don't watch any of that because that's not what I want to be feeding me. I need something of intellectual value to feed me. That way I myself can become more intellectual. And he said he doesn't like rappers that sound like they only listen to other rappers and they need to, switch up what they listen to. Go listen to Rachmaninoff or some Bob Marley, things like that. That way, when you come back to music, you can change the game because you will sound a lot different and set yourself apart from the rest of everybody else, because everybody else is still just listening to other rappers. So you got to be mindful of what you watch and what you read and what you listen to. That's why some people are vegetarians. They don't eat meat. They don't put that into them. So that's kind of the whole point, is when you put this poison into you, the effects will start to show. You know what I mean? I've had conversations with plenty of people where I can tell that they kind of only listen to gangster rap. They don't really watch anything educational. They don't do much reading. And this isn't to sound like, a snob, like I'm better than people or I'm smarter than people. That's not it. But, I've come across plenty of people who, for lack of a better term, are just basic. They can't hold a stimulating conversation. It's pretty one-dimensional and superficial as far as the topics that they can talk about, and it shows when somebody only watches reality TV and only listens to the same type of music, and their diet is pretty poor. This is especially important for the youth because they cannot be conditioned to believe that there's only one route for them as far as what they'll be when they grow up. Like Biggie said, either you sling a crack rock or you got a wicked jump shot. They can't just think that it's literally go to the league or sell dope or become a rapper because we see that now anybody can do it. It is now literally a viable option for you to go down one of three roads: rapper, ball player, or drug dealer. So it reminds me of my boy Jihad telling me a story. He's also my barber. Last time he cut me, he was saying he asked this one young kid whose hair he was cutting, young black kid, he was like 9 years old, and he asked him, "Oh, what you gonna be when you grow up?" And he said, "Oh, I'm going to the NBA. You know what I mean? I'm gonna be a ball player." And he had a white stepbrother who was only 2 years older than him. So then he asked the white boy what he was gonna be when he grows up, and he said, "Oh, I'm gonna be a doctor so I can fix him up when he gets hurt." Now that right there just shows the difference in conditioning of these two young kids. The white boy just, absolutely, I'm gonna be a doctor, and the black kid absolutely says he's gonna be a ball player. Now there's nothing wrong with believing that you're gonna be a professional athlete. Maybe this young kid is good at ball, but just to see that the white kid who was only 2 years older than him has such wisdom to know that, him going for that dream is a lot more obtainable than getting into the NBA. And maybe this kid is actually really good at ball. Maybe he will end up in the league. I don't know that. He could actually be really good. But we all know the story too well of young kid gets into college, great athlete, first round draft pick, gets to the league, first season blows his leg out, his career is over. Then what? When you banked all your coins, you banked everything on being in the league, and now you're left with nothing. So as far as the youth is concerned, they have to know that something else is out there, and that's why intellectualism has to become more praised in the black community. It has to be. So all in all, I just really want black people to stop degrading themselves on social media and on TV, on World Star Hip Hop, just to become the next boot gang. How about these young kids try to become the next Michael Eric Dyson or the next Dr. Umar? Have a better goal set for themselves and a better example for themselves. But it starts with us. We got to stop glorifying the wrong things and perpetuating this behavior and activity that we know is not indicative of progress and we know is not positive. It's important for black people to move in solidarity towards progress, and that doesn't mean that we all have to be like-minded and agree on the same things, but we all do have to be like-minded in terms of progress and wanting better for black people. So let's do away with the love and hip hop, basketball wives, and the things that we know are not good for us and good for the youth. And let's get back to intellectualism being the cool thing, and having that being the thing that's praised by us as black people. So this will be my mantra for 2019. Down with black deterioration and up with black excellence. Thanks for watching.